So I worked, after the brain injury, I still worked for 3 or 4 more years as an actor part-time. And I wasn't the main man anymore. I would get a lead occasionally, but I was getting like supportings and extra and supportings and stuff and day player and all that stuff because of my brain injury. But after spending a week on my floor with no food or water and not dying when I probably should have, I kind of wonder, why am I here? Why did I get a break? When so many other people don't. And all the abuse, being raised in the drug addict, alcoholic family, and that I mentioned in the other earlier video, I just kind of wonder, why am I around, And then the ego says, well, you have some type of special purpose in life. You're gonna, even the doctors told me in the hospital, because they didn't think I was gonna live. They're like, you better invent something or do something really good for the world because, you shouldn't be alive and we spent all this money to keep you alive and you did this to yourself and, I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that question. So during the whole process of all of that, I had cancer since I was like 9 years old, but they didn't have a test for it. There was no test. At my job that I had, when I was doing the longshore thing, the particular stuff I was doing, I had to be tested. I had to have my blood tested every couple months. But before that, at 9, they just said there's something wrong with you. We don't know what it is. It's some type of virus or cancer or whatever, and we don't have a name for it. We don't know what it is. But in 1991, they had a test for it, and they found out that it was cancer and what type it was and all that. But the insurance, that the doctor got me on it, and then I worked at a special job so I could get the special insurance to pay for the chemo, to get the chemo and all that, and I was on chemotherapy for 6 months, and that was just... But see, I had such a hard life before that. I had been through so much stuff that I could deal with the chemo. I mean, a lot of people, they give up and they want to die when they're on the chemo, but I had such a horrible, torturous life before that the chemo was just like, well, I'm kind of used to this, so I stayed on it. I looked like a member of Auschwitz. I lost all my muscle mass and my eyes were sunken in, and I couldn't sleep. And my brain was totally psychotic and everything the whole time I was on chemo. But I just kept telling myself, it's the drug. It's the drug. It's the drug. It's the drug that's making you think all this crazy stuff, and just ignore your mind and your body. And then after 6 months, the doctor comes in and tells me, I'm kind of jumping around time frame wise, but this is before the brain injury. The doctor just says, well, we're sorry, the cancer came back, so it's not working. We're going to take you off. And with the American medical system the way it is, it was really about the cancer. They had it was really about the insurance and the money, because they had a better treatment for my cancer, but they didn't give it to me. So I figured I was doomed anyway, so I really didn't care. So I went to Japan and I started acting and everything, and after about 4 years, I was seeing a doctor over there, and he was running tests on me all the time. Oh, we have this new treatment. You should try it. We have this new treatment. You should try it. But I knew if I was going to go through chemo again, I would have to just hang up all the work and everything, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to survive working being on chemo. Because the first time I was on chemo for 6 months, I had really good bosses that I worked for years, and they really respected me because I was a good worker, and they would say, just go hide and clock out at the end of the day. We don't want you to do anything. So they took care of me. And this time I was in Japan, and it was acting jobs, and I would just have to hang it all up to do the chemo. And the doctor told me, he said, we have the new treatment and we can give it a try, and there's no guarantee it's going to work. And then he told me that I had the highest level of cancer in my blood that he's ever seen in someone that's still living. So basically, if you did a blood test to me at that point in my life, I had more cancer cells in my blood than I did white and red blood cells. I think I had like almost 7 times the amount of cancer cells, like 7 cancer cells for every red and white blood cell. So I had so much in my system that I could barely breathe or walk or do anything, because it was just like taxing me, but I could still do the acting job. Barely. I mean, it's not that hard anyways. You just wait around and then get your lines together and all that stuff, and you're blocking, and then you just shoot a couple takes and you're done. Anyways, so he said, this is probably your last shot, and you're at the age range when you get higher. As you get older, it's harder to treat. When you're younger, it's easier to treat. And so I started treatment for the cancer, and I remember the usual sick feelings and all that stuff coming on at first, and it was experimental, and he was the only doctor there that would treat me. I think I saw like 4 doctors, and he was the only one that was willing to do it because it's an experimental medication. So for 3 months I was totally suicidal. Completely suicidal. Every day. All day long. All I could think about was jumping out of a window, or doing a harikari, just taking a knife and just sticking it in my stomach and running it up through my organs and my intestines, or jumping out a window, or jumping in front of a train or something. I was really, really suicidal. Or overdosing or whatever. And sometimes I think this is almost spiritual, or it's on a different level. But at 3 months, I started winning the battle. It started working. The cancer cells were decreasing in my body. And I stopped feeling suicidal. It's like the cancer wanted to take me out. And when the cancer thought that it thought it was losing the battle when I first started the treatment, so it wanted me to commit suicide rather than, the cancer wanted to take me out. It's almost like on a different level. And then it was trying to, and when it saw it wasn't, that it was getting annihilated by the chemotherapy, after a while it finally gave up, and then the cancer was basically, the battle was being won with the chemo, and it was losing the battle, and then finally I got strong, and the suicidal thoughts left at 3 months, and then I became homicidal. So I basically wanted to kill everybody and everything besides myself that surrounded me everywhere I went, for any particular reason. I was really, really, really homicidal. And I knew I had to stay at home. I couldn't be around people because I was going to pick a fight or throw them in front of a train or attack them or whatever. And I just knew that for my safety to finish the chemo, I had to basically hide out in a room for 7 more months. So I spent 7 more months on chemo. So I spent a total of a year of my life on chemotherapy. In a room by myself. My mind was gone. I couldn't study. I couldn't learn. I really couldn't do anything except for just mess around with the internet, just for entertainment, just to keep my mind busy, so I didn't think about how crazy everything was, and how crazy my mind was, and how my body felt and all that. Just a distraction. So I had I had cancer for probably 40 years before I got treatment. And I have a good answer of why I lived that long with cancer before. It's really basic. I've exercised religiously my whole life. Extreme weightlifting, extreme sports, and I didn't smoke, and I didn't drink, and I didn't take drugs for the most part. I didn't think healthy, clean thoughts or anything like that, but I took really good care of my body and I ate good food. Is really why I think I survived that long before I got treatment.